All right, good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. We just got done with practice here. Last week was all about finding a way to win. We had to keep chopping and keep our focus, on the next play. As usual, we had players make some huge momentum plays in the game, and special teams was a huge factor in the game. I was proud of our football team for the effort that they showed, and the grit and the heart and the determination. But as we know, we have plenty that we need to work on this week. That's for sure. Like I said, the team's care factor is extremely high in terms of wanting to play good football and willing to do what it takes to play good football, which is preparation. There was a healthy element or a healthy dose of productive anger on our team from the coaching staff and with the players afterwards, to begin the week in terms of our preparation for this game coming up. And what I mean by that is productive anger. There's some things that are not acceptable, and we cannot ever accept the unacceptable, whether it's any aspect of our program. And so the things that are unacceptable, we need to change them, and that's what we're here. That's what we're here to do. That's what everything is all about this week, is changing those things that we cannot accept with productive anger. We have to do simple better. We have to do simple better. I want to thank all of our fans. It was a huge factor in our game. The atmosphere in the woodshed was outstanding. We got a lot of energy from our fans, from our student section, and it was sustained. It was start to finish. Pre-game, post-game. It was an environment, and it was an atmosphere that's what we expect here in East Lansing. And I think they had Nebraska had like 4 false starts, and I like to think that our fans and our crowd, has something to do with that. When you look at some of the things that we didn't do, like we had a lack of productivity in areas. It was basically death by inches, is what I call it, death by inches, which means it's maybe one guy on one play or one technique on one play that prevents us from being successful on that particular play. And so that's attention to detail. And that's doing simple better, and really that's where our focus is. We're embracing the grind of preparation, knowing that Western Kentucky is a very, very strong football team. They have very good players. They have a lot of team speed, and they're a team that. They can play. They can play with anyone, and they can beat anyone. They have that type of talent. They're very explosive offensively. They have some very stout players in their front, and we're going to have to be at our best. We have to get better this week. The standards are the standards. The opponents change, but the standards do not change. And so whether that's, for us, the coaching staff, whether it's with the players, the support staff, the weight room, the training room, nutrition, operations, equipment, whatever aspect of our organization, the standard is a standard, and we will not accept the unacceptable. So that's where we are, and we need that same type of atmosphere this week. A very, very strong opponent in our stadium, Spartan Stadium. The Woodshed needs to be and will be home field advantage for us, and that's regardless of the opponent. We're always looking to get better, always looking to improve, and as you play more games and teams have more film on you, then if you're not improving as a football team in all three phases, if you're not improving individually, then you're going to have some issues. Because everything is on tape. So the aggregation of marginal gains is always extremely important for us. Everyone in our organization, players, coaches, staff, getting a little bit better individually every single day. And in aggregate, we do that, then we can make the improvements that we need to make more quickly, which is the sense of urgency that we have right now with our football team. So really looking forward to continuing our preparation. We had very focused practice today, and we gained ground in the areas where we needed to, and so I was pleased with that this morning. I'm going to look at the film when we get done here, and then we're going to get back to work, continue on with the game plan, and preparing for a strong opponent. And we got a lot of work to do. So with that, I'll open it up if anyone has anything.
No, I know that you come out of a game like that, and you talk about getting the win and being happy to get the win. When a team has a game like that, particularly with how well you guys are scoring and moving, what does that do for them to find that way to win from a psychological and emotional perspective?
Well, it should reinforce our culture and our mental disposition towards competing, which is we keep chopping and we play the next play, regardless of first quarter, fourth quarter, up 7, down 7, doesn't matter. We play the next play. The scoreboard is irrelevant. We play every play. Our intent is to play every play with everything that we have. And so when you're able to play through momentum swings and the pendulum swinging back and forth in these games, to be able to play through stretches of bad football and areas, you play through that, then and you're able to find a way to get it done. It just reinforces that culture and that mentality of we keep chopping, we play the next play. Each play has a history and a life of its own, and we need maximum effort and focus for 6 seconds, at a time, 60 minutes, 4 quarters in the game, or more, whatever it takes.
Yeah, the anger you just talked about, did that come from the players, and what's that about? Is that the mistakes you made in the Nebraska game? Is that what that's referring to?
It comes from all aspects of the organization, the staff, and the players, and everyone. There hasn't been a game this season where we came out of the game and giddy about where we were, where we are, in terms of productivity. We're a work in progress. We are now. We always have been, and we always will be. And so, whether it was the first game of the season or the second game or Miami, we didn't come out of there, with any type of delusional thoughts about, any type of arrival or anything like that. We're not going to let perfect be the enemy of progress. So obviously, we need to celebrate, our victories along the way, but then, be grounded in the truth and the reality, and be neutral and say, okay, based upon what we know and what has happened, this is what we need to do next. And that productive anger, comes from the fact that we cannot, accept the unacceptable, and the things that we cannot accept, we need to change.
To follow up, Tom Izzo was always talking about he wants a player-coached team, not a coach-coached team. Do you see that that's starting to happen on this team, that they're becoming a player-coached team?
It is starting to happen. We're not where we need to be in that regard yet, but we are making some positive strides in that area.
Mel, can you talk about Drew Beasley? He's been chopping for 6 years now. He's 24 years old. What did you say to him after the injury, and what's ahead for him with this team?
Well, obviously he has been chopping for a while, and he's a veteran. He's a veteran college player that understands what it takes, and he's the epitome of Michigan State football, in my opinion. He epitomizes that in his behavior, and he lives the game. He just doesn't love it. Obviously, injuries are part of the game, and I told him that I appreciated him, and that he's sore. He's got a lower body injury. He's sore, and he'll be ready when he's ready.
And Mel here. I was wondering, with you have 3 guys that are in the portal this weekend, in particular with Kalen and Chase. Just wondering your thoughts on the decision, the timing, and how that kind of affects your depth moving forward at those spots, being those guys with veterans.
Yeah, like I told the team yesterday, because I wanted to make sure that everyone knows where I stand, because I believe that you can't lead unless people know where you stand. And I'm supportive of all of our players. Everyone's got to do what they think is best for them, and I'm going to support them in doing that. And so, and there's, and when you go in, after game 4, as a coach, there's you're not going to be surprised if you have some guys go in the portal. So we support them however we can, and then we continue on. And that's what it is. That's how I feel about it.
Stephen Gross, 24/7 Sports. Going back to a little bit off of Drew, just your D-line depth. I think that they've maybe been one of the most consistent groups, at least in my opinion. What have you thought about the depth there? There's probably 7 or 8 names of guys that have made at least a flash year there, and just their consistency through these first couple games. Is that a group that you feel like is one of your deeper ones if guys get banged up?
Yeah, on both of our lines, our offensive line, our defensive line, we play quite a few players. We're typically rotating, 8 guys in our defensive line, 8 to 9 guys on our offensive line at some point. And so, we need to have depth there. We need to keep guys fresh, and so guys can give maximum effort on every single play. When you look at the D line in today's college football, when people are going fast, running a lot of plays, the game is spread out. You got to be able to stop the run. You got to be able to rush the passer. Then you got to be able to be a stack monster, come out of the stack and pursue and run plays down. And so, absolutely, the depth in our fronts are positive for us, advantage for us, I believe.
Mel, here I want to ask you, in reference to the 4 games, specifically with some of the freshmen. I know Chuck has played all 4 games, I think. A couple others maybe close, with Keon or Miles, some of those guys. Is this a point where you're saying now these guys are contributing, so we're enough for the 4 games and they're going to play, or is that something you're kind of talking about with you guys, whether you keep going past that point?
Yeah, it's case by case, game by game. Like I said at the beginning, I think someone asked me this early on. At the beginning of the season, we're going to do, what we need to do for the football team. However, we're not going to squander someone's year. So it's a case by case. It's a case by case deal. But, we know what the rule is, and we know what we need to do. We know what our depth looks like, and we know what type of productivity we need, and we know who can help us.
Specifically with Chuck, I would assume then that he's playing quite a bit, so that's a guy who's probably going to continue to play.
Yeah, I don't see why not. If he continues to make progress and continues to work hard in practice and do what he needs to do, he continues to earn time, then we'll continue to put him in.
Mel, you mentioned it's important to let people know where you stand if you're going to lead. Is there a coach that taught you that? And are there other core principles that you can directly tie to coaches you had, whether as a player or as an assistant?
I'm not sure if I can point to one particular coach or mentor or teacher or whatever, growing up or teammate or whatever. I just think it's important to be very clear with your staff and with your team of where you stand on everything. That you want to eliminate the gray. You don't want people to have to read between the lines, and you don't want people to have to guess, because at that point that's where there's confusion, and when there's confusion there can become frustration and even sometimes resentment. And so I think everyone, whether they agree or disagree, everyone can at least respect the fact that this is where I stand, this is how I feel about it, and at least everyone knows, and then based upon that, people can proceed.
Hey, Mel, Nick Bummer with the Athletic. You mentioned wanting to stay 8-9 deep on the defensive front, obviously stay fresh there. On the offensive line, you guys keep rotating as well. I understand, to stay fresh there as well. But as the season deepens, do you consider stopping the rotating on the offensive line, or is that something you want to keep going?
It's really game by game, week by week, because we're playing guys that earn the right to play and that we believe can be productive in the game and help our cause. That's who we're playing, and those are the only people that are out there playing. And then we have players that are not playing as much right now or haven't played yet, that we are in the process of developing and working with, with a sense of urgency to get them ready to play.
Are you not concerned at all about the offensive line going back and forth, or is that something that doesn't bother you?
I'm not concerned about that.
Mel, a couple of times following games this year, you have mentioned how fun of a team this is to coach. You often don't hear coaches really come out and say that too often.
Yeah.
So why is that, and how has that led to your 4-0 start?
Well, that's a great question, because again, we love to coach, and I believe coaching is still an honorable profession, and I do believe in transformational coaching to have a positive effect on our players, on and off the field. And so we have a group of young men that have bought into what we're doing and believe in our process, and they understand that we're a work in progress and we always need to get better, and they play hard and they're coachable, and they're hungry and they have a chip on their shoulder, and so that's a fun group to coach. when you get that, because that's what this is all about. You know, for us, because we're with each other on a daily basis, you know, for hours and hours, and this is our main focus, is our players and preparing for our opponents, and that's what we do 24/7, and it's I think we all would agree that it's very gratifying when you love what you do, and you love the people, and you enjoy the people that you work with.
And Mel, obviously, we saw the approach you guys took with the portal in the offseason in Western Kentucky was similar. I think they got 28 transfers on the roster. Quarterback stands out. I was wondering, how much preseason scouting do you do, kind of looking ahead, and how much different you see them as a team, and just the changes that they made with the portal?
Yeah, we do a lot of out of season scouting reports, you know, preliminary scouting reports, and then you take what you've done in the out of season, and then you compare it to what, you know, the body of work that you see, you know, during the season, prior to the week you play the team, and you see what is the same and what's different, and then you put together a game plan. So you know, it's a little different than going into like a game 1 as opposed to going into like a game 5, but you're always anticipating getting some unscouted looks and some scheme looks, some game plan looks, you know, from the team in all 3 phases. But you know, certainly they have some very, very good players. I'm not talking about just 2 or 3. They have a bunch of guys. They can play, and they're well coached, you know, in all 3 phases. I mean, I think everybody knows this program is about winning. You know, Western Kentucky, I think everybody understands that. But as soon as you see that team on the schedule, I mean, you know what you're going to get. I mean, you know what it's going to be. And so, we need to get better in a hurry.
Over here, Brandon Cox, State Chairman. It was the first time that you guys haven't been able to run the football really this year, last week, and also the first time you had Peyton in the second half really kind of struggled. I'm wondering, as you looked at the film and conversations you had, what you saw there, and is there any concern beyond just needing to adjust to some things?
No, it's death by inches. Like I said, it's, you know, one thing here, one thing there that prevents us from having any efficient play. And it wasn't something that was across the board on every play. And so, but when you're competing at a high level, you know, the margins are slim. You know, so you know, we have to do simple. We have to do simple better, and that's at every position in all 3 phases. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And when you got to keep the main thing. You know, pad level, hand placement, footwork, you know, blocking, tackling, physicality, you know, sustaining, straining, you know, pursuit, you know, running to the ball, running, hitting, you know, those types of things. Those are simple things that we have to do better and on a more consistent basis. We have to get all 11 guys on the same page on a play to be successful on all 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. We got to have all 11 doing exactly what they're supposed to do, have the discipline to do their job, which is discipline is doing what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, the way it's supposed to get done, and understand why it's important to get it done that way. That's what we have to have. And when we do that, then we're efficient and we have success on those plays. When we don't do that, then not so much.
Quick question about the chip on the shoulder that you were speaking of a little bit earlier. When the team is 4-0, how do you make sure that you keep them with that chip and keep them focused and not let them get, you know, looking beyond?
Yeah, I can't think of any reason why. I can't think of any reason, any rational reason why anyone in our organization, player or coach, or anyone in our support staff would be looking, would it be like looking past a team or, feeling, unreasonably good about where we are. I don't see any reason why that would be the case, coming out of any of the games that we played. I think that would be being delusional and unrealistic and not grounded, and I don't see our team being that, and we don't change our approach to preparation and self-evaluation and things like that. And again, there's an element of, productive anger when we don't play to a standard and where we don't live to a standard, on and off the field, where we don't behave to a standard. That doesn't change. It just never stops. It's perpetual motion. There's a standard, and when things are unacceptable, we don't accept them, and we do what we need to do to change the behavior and play to the standard. It's the same thing our fans are going to. That's the same thing our fans are going to do on Saturday night. It doesn't matter who. It doesn't matter. Snow, 100-degree heat. It doesn't matter. Big Ten game. Non-conference game. It doesn't matter. The standard is a standard. And our fans are out. Our fans are outstanding. We had some big time recruits at the game, and the atmosphere was outstanding. And it wasn't just recruits for football. We had them in men's and women's basketball, gymnastics, wrestling, cross country, baseball, track. We had prospects, student athletes in all those sports, at that game, and their families and some of their coaches. And so this is critically important, that we get after it in there, for a lot of reasons, and that's what it's all about. So, we're preparing to go into go into the woodshed and put a better version of football out there, a better brand of football out there than what we did last week. That's what this is all about. I don't know why we would. Easing up off of or being complacent or anything like that, or taking it easy. We don't. That's a trait that doesn't exist on our staff. So I don't even know where that would. I know I get where you're coming from, but we're desperate to get better, and with some desperation, you need some. We're willing to go to extreme measures to get what we need, get what we want, and with extreme intensity.
No, I know you talked a lot about the details, and I think we talked about the clock and kickoff at the end. But the penalty that backed you guys up, could you kind of tell us how that happened with the sideline situation? And is that one of those instances that you're talking about from a bigger picture that maybe people look on the field, but there's a lot of other attention to detail spots like that that need to be paid attention to?
I don't know how much time we have left to go. All right, so that's called sideline discipline. All right, and so there's been three times this season where we have scored and got some type of penalty. The first time was Northwestern, when you cannot dap up a fan and you cannot dap up the mascot. That's a penalty. Okay, I believe we had another one in the Miami game when we had guys go on the field, after a big play, guys that were on the bench and they go on the field, and then we had another one this past Saturday night on Jay Reed's punt return, where guys are, moving on into the white, and then the officials can't do their job. The chains can't move. The officials can't get their job done. They don't give you a warning. They just throw the flag and give you a penalty. And so we talked extensively about that on Monday morning. That was something that we addressed. We showed them the plays. We talked to them about the rules and where they need to be. And we addressed that, and just like we addressed everything else, because that was the least amount of penalties that we've had in a game. We talked about being disciplined, and we're kicking from the 20-yard line. Cox did a great job getting. He lost that thing and got it out of there, and then they got muffed it. He ran around. We went down there and had 3 guys on there and made the play, and I think they got on the 17, which was huge. But that's still. Why are we giving them yards? So, and we have every drill that we have in practice. We have cones behind the offense. We stay behind the cones, and then we have guys behind the dotted line on the sideline. And that's every practice. And so I don't care what they do in terms of celebration, after a big play or whatever. I want them to be excited about it and whatever, but stay back. Stay back. Do whatever you're going to do, but stay over there. Stay back, and you don't come on the field. And so we addressed it, and that's something that's unacceptable. So there's productive anger, relative to those types of penalties, because those are things that we can control.
So you didn't have an issue with the call at all?
No, I told the official afterwards. I told him, I said, you made the right call, okay, and we were wrong. I told him after the game. Because even though the play was way down here and it happened back here, if you're it's a black or white. You're behind the line or you're not. Either you're in the white or not. There's no gray. So I'm not going to put that on the official that he threw that flag because we weren't where we were supposed to be. Did I have a discussion with him about it? Afterwards on the field, absolutely, because I wanted to make sure that I wanted to make sure that I knew what happened, because you can't be critical of something you don't understand. So I wanted to make sure I understood what happened and why the flag was thrown. Okay, and then I made sure that he knew after the game that I thought that he made the right call based upon a set of circumstances. You got to own it. You got to own it and learn from it and move on.
That's all the time we have today.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming out. Looking forward to another night game.